In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add sun and shadow transitions to your brush strokes. So, because this is a sun disk and it's a sunk relief, I'm going to have to add a shadow line to the inside right here on the left side and on the upper section, and then I have a smooth transition right here on the right, and then have sunline added on the bottom largely with another transition on the upper left corner. So I almost finished dealing with my path around the sun disk, and I have to keep in mind because I'm going to add the transition, the sun and shadow transitions from the inside, and I'm going to have a much thicker line on the inside on the left, that I have to move my path to the outside of the curve where the shadow will be. So let's just hold down the command key and try to try to move our path a little bit to the outside of the line, like right here. So I obviously have to finish this part right here, so I'm going to deal with the transition, and when it ends up being a sun line, like on the right here, I'm already on the actual pencil line, because I will know that here I don't have to deal with a thick line. So let's just add this last section to the path right here, and you always have to kind of imagine what's going to happen to the brush stroke once you add it to the path. So obviously here and here will be the transitions, here it's going to be full shadow, so this is sort of okay. I think we can give it a try and see how our line is going to look like. I'm going to change the opacity to, let's say, 70 or 65-70%, so I will see my pencil lines through my brush line and get full control over the line placement. So as we know from previous tutorials, let's just hit right click and say stroke path, stroke it with the brush line. So this is a pretty smooth curve, it's fine all the way around, and you can see that it kind of leaves the pencil line where the brush strokes has to be much thicker. So what we have to do now is hold down the command button again and start moving our path away from its original place and pull it in a little bit. And with this, I'm going to be able to actually make it a little bit thicker. You can see that you're not just pulling it in by the anchor points, but you also have to deal with the evenness of the line and change the curves in some cases to make it exactly parallel with what's already drawn. And where the transition is going to be, there obviously you don't move the anchor points at the sunline parts, but only the areas where the transition will happen. And then again, you just hit right click and say stroke path once again. You can see that as we moved the path, now our stroke is moved as well, and where it turns into the sunline, that's a nice transition up and down, left and right. So this seems to be okay, but you can always double check. After a while, you actually learn how much you have to move your path to be able to have the exact line width for the shadow line, but you can always go back and change to the shadow line and check the line thickness just by holding the shadow brush weight, line weight over the shadow area to be sure that this is not thicker or thinner as it should be. So once this is done, all you have to do again is go back to the pen tool, right click, delete your path, and then go to the eraser and erase the parts that we don't need. And don't ever forget to change the opacity back to 100 once you've finished drawing your